Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Today is a day that really makes us sit back and deeply ponder the sheer weight of legacy, consequence, and the lengths people will go to for power in Genoa City. It's a beautiful day outside, but the storms brewing inside the hearts of our favorite characters are darker than ever. Let's just dive right into the heart of the unfolding drama. You know, when you really stop and think about the Newman family, it's almost impossible not to feel a chill down your spine when Victor Newman sets his sights on a target. I was just reflecting on the atmosphere at the Newman Ranch during that tense meeting between Victor, Victoria, and Michael Baldwin. You can almost picture the heavy, suffocating air in that room. The dark mahogany, the silence that only Victor commands. He and Victoria summon Michael to lay out what can only be described as a corporate execution. They are preparing to absolutely decimate the Summers conglomerate, and the cold, calculated way they are going about it is, well, it's terrifying. Victor and Victoria calmly explain the first phase of their master plan, and it's as ruthless as it is simple. They have been secretly paying off the remaining staff at Phyllis Summers' company, offering them lucrative buyouts to just pack up and walk away. Victoria, with that icy, ambitious glint in her eye that she inherited straight from her father, noted that Phyllis is about to lose the vast majority of her workforce in the blink of an eye. It makes you wonder, how does Victoria sleep at night knowing she's orchestrating the complete ruin of another woman's livelihood? But then again, this is business. This is the Newman way. But the employee buyout is just child's play compared to what Victor revealed next. I have to admit, when I heard about this next phase, my heart actually skipped a beat. Victor is introducing a new, highly advanced artificial intelligence program into his arsenal. Let's just pause and think about that for a second. Victor Newman, a man who has historically relied on private investigators and brute financial force, is now weaponizing AI. He plans to use this program to literally fabricate incriminating evidence against Phyllis. He wants to manufacture a digital paper trail of illegal activities to frame her, completely out of thin air. It's a lot to process. The sheer audacity of it. The AI is designed to synthesize and manipulate old, shady conversations between Billy Abbott and Kane Ashby from back when Phyllis was still in control of Chancellor. Victor is going to stitch these digital ghosts together to make it look like Phyllis was orchestrating massive corporate fraud. Why? Because he wants Newman Enterprises back, and he knows Phyllis won't give it up willingly. So, he's going to present her with a horrifying ultimatum. Hand over the company, or go to prison based on this forged AI evidence. I can completely understand why Michael Baldwin was sitting there, likely sweating through his suit. Michael is a brilliant lawyer, a man who has bent the law many times, but even he has his limits. You could feel his deep, genuine anxiety about this AI program. What happens if Victor loses control of it? What happens if this digital monster decides to target someone else? Michael was practically begging Victor to see reason, to understand the uncontrollable nature of what he was unleashing. But Victor just brushed off those concerns with that classic, arrogant dismissiveness. He doesn't fear the machine. He believes he is the master of it. And then there's the Lauren factor. My heart really aches for Michael in this situation. He loves his wife so deeply, and Lauren is completely entangled in the Summers conglomerate. Michael desperately pleaded with Victor to keep Lauren out of the crossfire, emphasizing that she had absolutely nothing to do with any of Phyllis's past or present misdeeds. Victor, in a rare moment of calculating mercy, admitted that the only reason he was warning Michael in advance was so that Michael could convince Lauren to resign before the hammer falls. It's a twisted sort of loyalty, isn't it? Victor protects his inner circle, but only on his terms. As Michael hurried out, likely sick to his stomach, Victoria made a passing comment that really struck me. She mentioned that Nikki Newman should have been there for this monumental meeting, considering they are on the verge of taking back control of their family's legacy. But Victor just waved it off, arguing that Nikki didn't want to be there and that the family would just have to learn to adapt. It's such a poignant reminder of the fracture in the Newman household right now. We all know Nikki is currently consumed with comforting a devastated Jack Abbott after Diane's horrific betrayal. But Victor's indifference to his wife's absence just highlights how isolated he is in his own ruthless ambition. He is standing alone at the top of the mountain, ready to push Phyllis off the edge. Meanwhile, over at the Genoa City Athletic Club, the atmosphere was entirely different, though no less complicated. It was actually quite heartwarming to see Christine Blair Romalotti reuniting with Danny Romalotti. Danny just got back from his trip to Barcelona, and you can just feel the deep, enduring love between these two. They have so much history, so much shared pain and joy. But the conversation quickly turned serious, and it really gave us a glimpse into the heavy burdens Christine carries. Christine confided in Danny with a major piece of news. The current district attorney is stepping down due to health reasons. And, in a twist that feels almost like fate, Christine has been officially asked to step in and finish out the term. I found myself really empathizing with Christine in this moment. She is such a moral compass for Genoa City, a woman who has dedicated her life to justice, but returning to the DA's office is a massive, life-altering commitment. She sat there, weighing the pros and cons with Danny, her face reflecting a deep internal struggle. Does she really want to dive back into the political, legal mud of this town? Just as they were deep in this intense discussion, Daniel Romalotti Jr. walked in. It's always a complex dynamic when Daniel is involved, especially lately. As soon as he heard the news about his mother potentially returning to the role of district attorney, his mind immediately jumped to one specific, agonizing issue: Mariah Copeland, the plea deal. Daniel, carrying the weight of his own family's struggles, immediately asked Christine if her taking the job would have any impact on Mariah's current legal situation. It's such a loaded question, isn't it? The whole town is polarized over what Mariah did, her mental breakdown, and the kidnapping of baby Dominic. Christine, ever the professional, had to gently explain that the situation is largely out of her hands, as the final decision regarding the plea deal will be made by a judge. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, she admitted that she highly doubts Devin Winter's aggressive attempts to overturn the plea deal will actually succeed. I couldn't help but feel a chill when Christine softly voiced her theory. She looked at Daniel and Danny, her expression grave, and suggested that Devin might actually be pushing this issue because, deep down, he wants to back Mariah into a corner where her only option is prison. It's a horrifying thought, that Devin, a man who once loved Mariah, a man who shared such a profound spiritual journey with her during the surrogacy, could now harbor such dark, vindictive desires. But trauma changes people, doesn't it? And then, as if the universe was playing a cosmic joke, Michael Baldwin walked into the GCAC and joined them. The timing couldn't have been more perfect, or more suspicious. After exchanging pleasantries, Michael dropped the bombshell that left everyone at the table stunned. He casually admitted that he was the one who nominated Christine to replace the resigning Doe. My mind immediately started spinning when he said that. Why would Michael, Victor Newman's right-hand man, want the fiercely independent and highly moral Christine back in power? Is he hoping her strict adherence to the law will somehow backfire on Victor's plot? Or is he just trying to put a competent person in charge before the city descends into legal chaos? It's a brilliant, manipulative move, and it just shows how many chessboards Michael is playing on at once. Speaking of Devin Winters, if you thought Christine's theory about him was dark, the reality of his current state of mind is even darker. I have to talk about that scene at the coffee house in the park. It was a beautiful sunny day, the kind of day where people should be laughing and enjoying life. But the energy between Devin and Abby Winters was absolutely toxic. It physically hurt to watch them. Abby and Devin are locked in this escalating, bitter war over Mariah, and it is completely tearing their marriage apart. Abby, looking so exhausted and betrayed, finally confronted Devin with the very same fear that Christine had voiced. She looked her husband in the eye and asked him, point blank, if he was intentionally trying to push Mariah down a path that would end with her locked in a prison cell. The desperation in Abby's voice was palpable. She is a mother trying to protect her child's environment, but she also recognizes that Mariah is sick, not evil. Devin's reaction, it was chilling. He didn't deny it. He didn't offer comfort. Instead, he looked at Abby with this cold, hard stare and calmly stated that he didn't think prison was the worst possible outcome for Mariah. I actually gasped when he said that. This is the man who held Mariah's hand, who called her family, and now he is coldly advocating for her to be thrown behind bars. The trauma of Dominic's kidnapping has completely hardened his heart. Abby was visibly horrified. She tried to appeal to his humanity, reminding him that despite everything, she still considers Mariah a friend, someone who needs help, not a cage. And that is when Devin crossed a line that I don't think he can ever cross. With a sarcasm so thick and venomous it could cut glass, Devin mocked Abby's compassion. He sneered at her, suggesting that if she is such a good friend to Mariah, maybe she should just invite her over to babysit Dominic. It was a low blow, a disgusting, cruel, unforgivable low blow, to use the trauma of their son's kidnapping as a sarcastic weapon against his own wife. It just shows how deeply broken Devin is right now. Abby's reaction was instantaneous and explosive. The shock morphed into pure, unadulterated rage. She stood up, her voice trembling with anger and heartbreak, and called him exactly what he was being in that moment, a bastard. She yelled it right there in the middle of the park, not caring who heard, before turning on her heel and storming off, leaving Devin sitting there in the wreckage of his own cruelty. And the tragic cherry on top of this awful Sunday, Daniel Romalotti Jr. was standing right there, witnessing the entire humiliating exchange. You have to wonder what went through Daniel's mind, seeing this supposedly perfect couple completely implode in public. It just goes to show that no amount of money or status can protect you from the devastating effects of unresolved trauma and bitterness. But while Abby and Devin are destroying their family from the inside out, Phyllis Summers is facing a destruction imposed from the outside. Let's shift our focus to Newman Enterprises, or as it's currently known, the Summers conglomerate. When we first saw Phyllis in her office, she was actually happy. It was almost tragic to witness. She was sitting at her desk, reviewing reports, feeling a genuine sense of triumph because business was booming. She really believed she had finally outsmarted Victor Newman. She thought she was safe. But we all know that in Genoa City, safety is an illusion, especially when Victor is your enemy. The downfall started so quietly. Just a single email notification pinging on her computer. Phyllis opened it, her smile faltering slightly as she read a resignation letter from one of her department heads, effective immediately. She probably thought it was just a fluke, an isolated incident, but then came another ping, and another, and another. I could feel my own anxiety rising just watching her. The emails started pouring in, an absolute avalanche of resignations from her top executives, her middle management, her essential staff. Within minutes, Phyllis realized with a sickening dread that almost her entire workforce was walking out the door, the sheer panic that must have gripped her heart in that moment. It's unimaginable. Her empire wasn't crumbling, it was evaporating into thin air. Phyllis, being the fighter that she is, immediately went into survival mode. She is not a woman who gives up easily. She started frantically calculating, deciding she would just throw money at the problem. She was ready to pay top dollar, double or triple the market rate, to buy replacement staff immediately. But Lauren Fenmore, who was standing there watching this horror unfold, was already steps ahead in realizing the truth. Lauren, her voice tight with fear, warned Phyllis that Victor wouldn't have executed a mass buyout without securing the safety net. She suggested that Victor had likely already monopolized the talent pool. Phyllis refused to believe it. She grabbed her phone, her hands likely shaking, and started making desperate calls to top headhunters and prime candidates she had kept in her Rolodex. But with every call, the reality grew darker. Rejection after rejection, people were suddenly unavailable, or explicitly stating they couldn't work for her. The realization hit Phyllis like a physical blow. Victor hadn't just bought her employees, he had built an invisible, impenetrable wall around her company. He had systematically approached and blocked every single viable candidate she could possibly use to replace her staff. She is completely, utterly trapped. She is sitting in a corporate castle with no army to defend it, and no way to recruit one. The sheer brilliance and cruelty of Victor's strategy is inspiring in the most terrifying way possible. He didn't just attack her finances, he attacked her operational capacity. He has paralyzed her. And the final, heartbreaking confirmation of this doom came shortly after, when Lauren finally met up with Michael. Lauren was frantic, desperately hoping her husband, Victor's insider, could offer some glimmer of hope or a way out for Phyllis. But Michael, carrying the heavy burden of the truth he had learned at the ranch, just looked at his wife with eyes full of sorrow and defeat. He didn't sugarcoat it. He couldn't. Michael softly, painfully admitted to Lauren that the Summers conglomerate is going to cease to exist very, very soon. He confirmed that Victor's plan is already in full motion, and there is absolutely nothing Phyllis can do to stop it. The absolute despair that must have washed over Lauren in that moment. Realizing her best friend is about to lose everything, and her own career is collateral damage in Victor Newman's endless war. It just leaves you breathless, doesn't it? The intricate webs of deceit, the casual cruelty of corporate warfare, the deeply personal betrayals, it's all coming to a head. Victor is playing God with AI and Devin is letting his trauma turn him into a monster. Christine is standing on the precipice of a massive career shift. And Phyllis is trapped in a burning building with the doors locked from the outside. I honestly don't know how any of them are going to survive the coming weeks. We will just have to keep watching, hoping for a miracle, but bracing for absolute devastation.